Why does anyone need an AR-15? Before I answer that question, I want to clear up the misconception that an AR-15 is an automatic weapon. It is a semi-automatic rifle that fires as fast as the wielder can pull the trigger. Semi-automatic pistols do the same thing except at a close distance. Automatic weapons are already heavily regulated by the ATF and are not readily available to the general public. Now, an AR-15 can be used for a lot of things. Hunting, casual and competition shooting, and self-defense probably rank as some of the top reasons to own one. But there is one reason, I believe, that is above all the rest, and that is protection against domestic and foreign enemies, notably governments. Many people scoff at the idea of government overstepping its bounds to deny rights and cause harm to the citizenry, but it has happened countless times, including here in America. Even if the government isn't overstepping its bounds, guns like the AR-15 deter out of control government from doing so. And this is precisely why the framers of the Constitution included the words, "The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed," into the Second Amendment. The founders themselves, they were fighting a government that dared try to use abusive submission. Yes, it's true that weapons have evolved since then. We're not all running around with muskets these days, but that includes the weapons that the government has. Citizens need a way to level the playing field, and an AR-15 helps do just that. Notice the broad reach of the Second Amendment. The framers wanted Americans to be able to defend themselves as weapons evolved. But you know who else in American history besides the founders faced out-of-control government? Native Americans in the massacre at Wounded Knee. History.com specifically points out that the Sioux Indians were ordered to surrender their guns. Japanese Americans under President FDR after Pearl Harbor. They were ordered into internment camps in 1942 under Executive Order 9066. My point in telling you that is sometimes government oversteps its authority. And don't even get me started on what communist dictators did to unarmed people. If citizens aren't allowed to properly arm and defend themselves, the only options are compliance or to face punishment. You have the right to defend yourself. The AR-15 is an accurate and efficient way to defend yourself at close, mid, and sometimes long range. An AR-15 also might come in handy if there was a breakdown in social order, such as riots. Angry mobs of people will probably think twice before attacking someone who can quickly fire rounds at a safe distance. So why does anyone need an AR-15? Because it is their right to defend themselves, their family, and their property. So when Ohio Governor John Kasich goes on CNN and asks if not being able to buy an AR-15 feels like an erosion of liberty, I would say absolutely. There are too many people who are trying to water down the Second Amendment and will never be satisfied until America looks like Australia. And this stuff happens in steps, hence the word progressive. When somebody with evil in their heart decides to use an AR-15 to wreak havoc in a gun-free zone, we make sure that person pays the price. We don't penalize the law-abiding by taking away their access to a firearm. Because if an evil person doesn't use a gun, they'll use a truck, like in Nice, France, and that terrorist killed 84 people. The Second Amendment reads, "A well-regulated militia, being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed." And I want to conclude with a quote from George Mason. He was a Virginia delegate to the Constitutional Convention. It says, "Ask, sir, what is the militia? It is the whole people, except for a few public officials." I'm Rich Carroll. Thanks for joining. God bless.